As a beginning artist, I've learned one simple thing. And that thing is that art is hard. Ooh, shocker. I can imagine a lot of people are going, really? No. Are you certain there's. Oh my. But in all honesty, art is very difficult. Art takes an almost mathematical approach to creation and creativity that a lot of us do not have. I mean, I should say, a lot of us don't have it come naturally to us. There are plenty, and I do mean plenty of masters and geniuses, savants, and all this other stuff, whatever you want to call them, of people who can think differently and adapt to the artistic form in a way that most people can't. Kim Jong-il, if I'm pronouncing his name right, is one with a perfect example. I've looked up a couple of his videos of him drawing, and I'm just astounded. And when I heard his interview of what he was like when he was a child, when he was drawing, and how he could see things in 3D, it was amazing. How he was already drawing in 3D from the age of like a what did he say, like 5, 10? Definitely before most of us would ever actually seriously consider drawing, even as a hobby. But there's one thing I've learned about art on top of the first lesson that has to deal with him in particular. And that is, it does not matter your talent. It does not matter how creative you are, how skilled you are, how much of a genius you are if you are not willing to put in the work. I think the saying goes, hard work will outdo talent when talent does not work hard. To that end, when talent works hard, you better get the hell out of the way. And that's what Kim Jong-il was. He was the kind of guy you had to get the hell out of the way for. To that end, though, I would have to say, as a beginning artist, a guy who's not exactly nowhere near the best. I don't even feel halfway competent. I'd like to say this to all my other starting artists who are feeling discouraged or, God forbid, are just wanting to use these AI generation art machines in order to essentially replace whatever you want to create because the machine can do it better than I ever could. I'd like you to remember something that my mom told me, something that I have to remember every day of my life whenever I feel down, especially when it comes to the roadblocks and creative difficulties of being just a writer, in this case, not even an artist, but a writer. I want you to remember this and listen very carefully. No one can tell your story better than you. You got that? No one. No one can tell your story better than you, and I'll give you a good reason why. Because despite the fact that we can have all these kinds of criticisms throwing at creatives, there are people who call Naruto essentially fascist propaganda because of the undertones and stay away from the muck and mire and trench that is discourse about Attack on Titan. There are things that haven't aged well that I've watched and loved, and there are things that have aged great that I just didn't care about. But at the end of the day, it's easy to criticize when you're not the one in the hot seat, when you're not the creative there, when you're not dealing with the editors, or trying to make sure that your story makes sense or logic or has logic or doesn't have too many plot holes. I would say that at least for Naruto, for example, since I brought it up, it's not fascist propaganda, it's just, I would say, poorly written because it went on too long. I genuinely believe it went on too long, but I will never say that if I had to go back in time and take all the ideas that Kishimoto was working with and say I could write it better, I don't have that kind of arrogance. Because it's easy to write it better, or correction, I should say, it's easy to say you can write it better when you're the one who has the whole story in mind. You know? And, well, that's why we say this. You cannot tell your story better than you can. You cannot draw what you imagine in your head better than you can. You cannot create what you want better than you can, because it will be yours. That's my thoughts on the matter. And that's what little bit of encouragement I want to give to my fellow artists. Because at the end of the day, it's your story. It's your art. It's your skill. And sure, I don't believe any of us, and certainly not me, will ever be Kim Jong-il. But if we ever reach that point, whether we start in our 20s, 30s, or early teens, on whatever we're working on, the least we can do is thank goodness for the hard work we put in. Because that's it at the end of the day. People deride hard work, especially nowadays, because, well, hard work ain't gonna get you anywhere. That's what some people say. But at the end of the day, hard work does get you somewhere. It may not get you where you want to be right away. You may have to take a whole lot of different paths. And I will straight up say that there are plenty of people out there who are working hard every day, harder than I am, and making less than I am, or getting less out of it than I am. And so there are some people who are working just as hard who get twice, 3 times, 4 times as much. You've got to stick with it, though. Because at the end of the day, hard work will outdo talent when talent does not work hard. But talent will always beat you if you never try in the first place. It does not matter what you want to do. There's my encouragement for you all. That's all I really wanted to say in the matter. As a new artist, I believe people should hear these things and understand them for what they are. They're not, and nor will they ever be, an attempt to discourage you or to tell you that you're not trying hard or shame you for being discouraged or whatever. Because at the end of the day, that's not why I'm here. I don't want to be a stone of stumbling on someone's journey or path to whatever their goals may or may not be. I only wish to uplift people the same way I've been uplifted, the same way I've been supported. And I'll tell you again, just for the 3rd time, Kim Jong-il should be an inspiration of what the artistic mind can do. He sets the standard. Every creative does set a kind of standard. But be willing to learn and open your mind and work hard on improving yourself so that you can be what you see, so that you can create what you want. Because no one can tell your story better than you. That's it. Anyway, I've got cupcakes to cook and then more sketching to do in a notebook because, well, for some reason it's easier to sketch out what I like on a notebook than it is with any of these art journals and stuff. I don't get it myself, but hey, grind wherever you can. Do whatever you can and figure out what's best for you, what works for you. And, well, this has been Jeremiah Samuel Tone coming at you from the Exclusion Zone, and I hope you've enjoyed the short little talk we've had. You have a nice day, and goodbye.